Hello everybody and welcome back. Good to talk to all of you again today. Today is the first of those how-to guides that I was talking about. And I'm going to cover the Tier 6 American Tech Tree Heavy Cruiser, the Pensacola. Do keep in mind, of course, that because this is a Tier 6 Tech Tree ship, I am playing this with only a 10-point captain. As a Tier 6, that I think is a reasonable number of captain skill points to have. It would be not very realistic for most people to be running around at Tier 6 with 19-point captains. So that is one of the conditions that I'm going to be playing with today. In terms of the skills that I've used on this particular captain, I have gone with Priority Target, I've gone with Expert Marksman, I've gone with Demolition Expert, and final skill is going to be Concealment Expert. The reason I'm running these particular skills has to do with the Pensacola's weaknesses. And there's quite a few of them on this particular ship. First things first, her turrets traverse really slowly. And without Expert Marksman, that does make the Pensacola really difficult to kite with, because your turrets just cannot turn fast enough. Hell, even with the skill, it's still not fast enough, but at least it's going to be a little bit better. And then, of course, I'm also running Concealment Expert, and that is a really important skill for this particular ship, as she has rather high surface detectability. With the Concealment Expert skill, she is a little bit more reasonable, and it will allow you to fall off detect a little bit easier. Her armor is also quite poor, and along with that really poor armor, she has a really big citadel. And some of that citadel is above water, so getting citadeled by battleships is not exactly an uncommon occurrence. Finally, Pensacola doesn't really have the world's greatest range. This is not a ship that can stand off really far away and spam you full of HE. She does need to be a little bit closer. Those are all the Pensacola's problems, and it does make her a very challenging ship to play. She also, by the way, has no torpedoes, so she doesn't exactly have any sort of close-range last-ditch weaponry. She does, however, have pretty darn good firepower. Her armor piercing has the American auto bounce angles, which starts at 60 degrees and ends at 67.5 degrees. She has quite a few guns as well, which means that you are capable of actually hurting ships with your AP salvos. And of course, if you do decide to switch to high explosive ammunition, although the high explosive doesn't have any special parameters like quarter penetration or anything like that, they do have a lot of them, so you can still do pretty good damage as well. Finally, the Pensacola does have pretty good agility, and you're going to be using that agility quite a bit. Pensacola, I would say, is a very difficult ship to play, and a very difficult ship to play well. However, if you can really learn how to play the ship, you can actually become quite a good player, because it forces you to have good prediction and good situational awareness. The reason against these two cruisers, the Shores and the Algerie that's coming up behind him, the reason why I actually pushed up rather close to them is because I was looking at the map and going, they pretty much have to come out here. And when they do, I'm going to have that amazing armor piercing ready for them, and I'm going to delete them like that. However, I should caution that in a lot of cases when you're playing the Pensacola, you're not going to get this close. Generally, you're going to be a bit further away. The only reason, like I said, is because I knew that they were going to have to come out this way, and they were likely to show me a side. Algerie comes out, does try to get angled, but with the American 203s, hey, you can sometimes keep firing AP, even when enemy ships are quite a bit more angled, because you do have those nice auto bounce angles. Once again, Algerie is going to give me a little bit more of a side to shoot at, and I am going to punish that Algerie with a couple more citadels, sending him back to port. Now, the big challenge with the Pensacola is basically a constant balancing act. And the balancing act is basically, can I be at a distance where I'm able to make full use of my guns, I'm able to try to output damage, but at the same time, I'm at a far enough distance where enemy return fire I can kind of mitigate using my superior maneuverability by trying to throw off their aim. Pensacola is not a cruiser for aggressive players. She's a much more, at times, passive ship, but you cannot be so passive to the point where you're ineffective, and that is the big challenge. How do you stay combat effective, contributing to your team, but still staying safe? Because you cannot depend on your armor to save you at all. If you tried, you are going to die. The first way, and probably the most difficult way for most players, is having situational awareness and prediction. Take a look at the map. Where are those enemy ships going to be coming from? And depending on where those enemy ships are going to come from, you enter the kite position before they spot you. So by the time they pop out, you already have guns on target, you're shooting at them, and you're getting away from them at an angle that is difficult for them to shoot at you. If you waited until they spot you and then you try to execute the maneuver, very good chance you show them a full broadside and you will get deleted. In this particular battle, I know that the enemy ships are coming up. There's going to be a Nuremberg, Julio Cesare. They're coming up from around H3. They're going to probably move into G2, F1 in sort of that line. So I enter the kite position. All my guns are facing the direction where they're likely to get spotted when they appear, and then I'm going to engage them. The second tip involves islands, and what you're really going to do as a Pensacola player is keeping an eye open for when an island can be advantageous. So at what point can you be behind an island, deny enemy vision of you behind that island, and then for you to be able to shoot over the island and then not really take that return fire. So really you're going to have to adapt to circumstances, different maps, different angles, different approaches. So keep an eye open for that potential land cover. This particular island that I'm at, well, had I actually gotten to the point where backing up and they just appeared, right, and I had all my guns ready, then I would have had the advantage. Unfortunately, by the time I got into a position where I was able to spot them, they had already spotted me, so definitely at a disadvantage going to get away from that little spot. However, this spot, on the other hand, is very, very nice, because this offers me a shot into the A-cap while I am nicely behind cover. And while I'm behind this particular cover, they actually can't spot me, so the chance of me taking return fire is not that high. Of course, the enemy Bayern is bowing towards me, so I will of course switch to my high explosive shells and try my best to get some fires. Now there is one thing, when you're playing the Pensacola, during times like this where you have that brief moment of safety, where you're behind cover, you're not being spotted, enemies are not targeting you, it is a very good idea to take stock of the situation. Look at your minimap. Where is the enemy ships moving to? What's the status of your own teammates? Is there going to be a flank that's going to be occurring, right? Etc, etc, etc. Take a good hard look at the map and decide what you want to do. In this particular instance, I decide to abandon this particular land cover, and mostly do it because for a couple of reasons. I mean, one, I'm not going to remain unspotted. That Nuremberg is going to get here, and if I get spotted, it's not exactly the most comfortable place to be. Second, the Bayern on my team is low HP, and if I stay behind the rock and the Bayern dies, then I'm going to be fighting two battleships at closer ranges, which for Pensacola is just not something you want to do. You don't want to be close to the battleships, you want to kite away. So that is what I do. I get out of there and I pull some distance and once again enter that kiting position. With myself now in this position, of course I start looking for targets that I can engage. Enemy Bayern, two-angled. Cesare, okay, more broadside, fire some AP. Why AP and why not HE? Because Pensacola's armor piercing is actually capable, at this kind of distances, to do very, very good damage. Of course, I did not really get all that great of a salvo there, so unfortunately damage was limited. However, I have, in those kinds of distances, been able to score upwards of 6-7, and I think the occasional 8,000 damage salvo with armor piercing, which is quite good. Enemy Cesare just ate some torpedoes, so switch over to high explosive and try to set some fires. If I set fires now, it'll be a perma fire. It's going to burn for the full duration and net me some good damage. Speaking of damage, to get a sort of a reference point for at what point and how much damage is considered to be pretty darn good in Pensacola, if you're doing about 1.5 times your ship's HP in damage, this is just for the Pensacola. It differs from ship to ship. If you have something that's really overpowered, then obviously the expectation is you do more. But for Pensacola, if you can do like 1.5 times your ship HP in terms of damage, about 50 some odd thousand, you're already doing really, really well. Another thing to talk about is what do you do if you're in a Pensacola and you end up being in a tier 8 game and you're the bottom tier? Well, realistically speaking, nothing changes. You're still going to be playing a lot of that sort of kite away playstyle, that kiting away cruiser. But obviously at tier 8, you're going to be even a little bit more conservative in order to try to keep yourself more safe. You're probably going to be sticking to your bigger battleships a little bit closer to them so they can offer you that support. And finally, your requirements in terms of your situational awareness is really going to go up. If you're someone out there whose situational awareness, let's say, is not very good and you know it, and you're like, my situational awareness has not always been that great, my ability to predict stuff has not always been that great, I would actually recommend the Pensacola as a trainer to help you learn that skill, because this is a ship that requires that. Having poor awareness, having poor prediction skills, well, with the Pensacola, that'll get you killed. Because if you don't know where the threat is and you're not paying attention, well, then you're going to get deleted by those 12-gun battleships. Well, hell, now with the Leon, you're likely to get deleted by that 16-gun battleship. But if you have good awareness, you will know when to start to mitigate that risk, when to start getting into those better positions, etc. Once again, there is the enemy Bayern, and I'm going to put the island between myself and the Bayern. The island is basically going to offer me a degree of concealment here. Enemy Bayern is not going to spot me. No way for the Bayern to retaliate. My own friendly Bayern is, well, last time I checked, wasn't super healthy. Is probably trying to use that island to the north there, try to recover some HP while trying to chip away at this enemy Bayern. Enemy Bayern has decided to continue shooting HE. I guess that is a choice. But here, as you'll see, I will move into slightly better shooting positions and continue to rain down some shells. I'm going to try to keep this island between the two of us as long as possible, but I do need to head to the A cap and take that cap back. Our Shores is rushing towards B, where I think he's going to get in trouble here because he's basically trying to rush down a smoked up Jervis, and there's a battleship heading for him as well. At this particular time, I get plane spotted. Now, in any other normal situation, if there's another battleship in this area, or if the Bayern there had his guns turned even remotely in my direction, this would have been my cue to get the hell out of here and go back to kiting. But the Bayern did seem to be more sort of preoccupied with his guns facing a different direction. So I'm going to take a few more pot shots and try to maybe put the island between the two of us again. But it doesn't really seem to be working. The plane continues to have me spotted. Okay, now I am also surface spotted by the Bayern. So that's my cue to now get the hell out of here. You don't want to get shot at by a battleship. Now I'm starting to stop the reverse and start to accelerate. Enemy Bayern turns away. I'm not 100% sure why this Bayern decides to do this. Maybe he's just trying to get to the B cap faster. Not 100% sure, but those 4 shells from his rear turrets, well, it does buy me that little bit of a breather. And also luckily he was shooting HE, so does manage to incapacitate my engine, but I quickly repair that and get underway. Obviously, my current objective is to go and take the A cap. The enemy is going to take the B cap, which means they'll have a 2-to-1 cap advantage. And our point difference is not all that great. The enemy team is going to be able to catch up. The Bayern in my division is nowhere near cap, so he's not really going to be able to influence that at all. So I'm going to try to get over to the A cap and take it back for our team. Enemy Bayern shoots a salvo of armor piercing at me, but I'm already unspotted, so I should be okay. And I'm going to hold my fire. You'll see me not shoot, because if I shoot right now, I'm inviting more armor piercing shells my way. And right now, it is more important that I actually stay alive. Now, the enemy Bayern decides to turn again, which means that the chances of me taking a full salvo from him is reduced, so I take a pot shot, try to set him on fire again. Again, I still want to chip away at his HP whenever possible. And then I get behind cover, and I'm going to now safely be able to get in there and take the A cap. Another thing that you kind of want to do in the Pensacola is learning when to send up that scout fighter. That scout fighter can provide some valuable vision, and during certain times it is essential to have it up there. In this particular case right now, there's only 2 of us left, and if one of us loses vision and the other one's behind the island, we might lose complete vision of the enemy team. And so having that little scout fighter up there, doing its circles and providing us the occasional glimpses of the enemy team, it can be very, very useful. Anyways, that's pretty much all the major things I want to talk about when it comes to the Pensacola, but of course I will go over it and summarize the information just for those of you who want sort of a too long, I want a summary kind of version of the video, or maybe you've simply forgotten some of the earlier points. Keep in mind the Pensacola's numerous weaknesses. She has a really big citadel, and some of that's above water. She does not have amazing armor, so battleships look at you the wrong way. You're very likely to get deleted, especially at tier 6. There's a lot of those 12-gun battleships out there, right? You can see tier 7, which has some of those other crazy battleships. Coff de Lion with its 16 guns. You know, Pensacola's worst nightmare is that ship, I swear to God. You also don't have the amazing gun range that allows you to maybe just be the super standoff HE spamming platform. You can't do that. And you don't have the world's best concealment. Those things are very limiting on your ability to play the ship. She's not an aggressive cruiser at all. Pensacola is very, at times, defensive, very passive, very conservative, but you can't be so passive to a point where you don't do damage, because her major strength happens to be her firepower. So you have to figure out a way to utilize that correctly. Fortunately, the Pensacola does actually have pretty good maneuverability, so that, combined with the firepower, suggests that one way to use her is to constantly use her to kite. However, to be an effective kiting ship, you have to have good situational awareness. You have to be really aware of the things that happen around you. And of course, you have to anticipate where the enemy will move to, and you can set yourself up properly in good positions. Island cover is also somewhat essential as well to the Pensacola, as it is with many other USN cruisers. To put into perspective how important it is to play the Pensacola correctly, take a look at my two sort of stack columns for, two 10-game sessions. On the one to the right, I was playing half solo, half division, and on the left is also the exact same half solo, half division. And the performance was vastly different. And most of this is because on the session when I was playing on the right hand side, I was just playing the Pensacola aggressively, wasn't really considering too much about how she is as a ship, was just going, well, she's got good firepower, let's just go ahead and do whatever. And I got punished a lot. There were, at least out of those 10 games, a few games where I just got outright dev struck from like 20,000 HP down to 0. And I was just being too careless, too aggressive, and really positioning my ship in not the best kind of ways. And so at the time, I actually got really frustrated. I was like, what the hell is wrong with this ship, right? And then I thought, maybe there's something I'm doing wrong. So I spent maybe, I'll say like 2 days thinking it over, watching some of the replays again, trying to identify all the things that I did right and all the things that I did wrong. And then I played another 10 games. And of course, you can immediately see that everything went up, right? My damage went from 42,000 to 74,000. My rating went up from good to super unicum. Win rate went up to 70%. So obviously, changing that playstyle to being a little bit more of a playstyle that caters to this ship specifically, allowed me to experience vastly different battle results. Anyways, folks, that pretty much does it for the Pensacola video today. I hope some of the things I talked about in this video help you and allow you to do well with the Pensacola. Of course, your overall feedback about this kind of video is appreciated as well. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you want more of this? Let me know in the comment section below. Of course, if you have ship requests about what ships you would like to see a video of, also leave that in the comment section below. Finally, if you yourself are an amazing Pensacola player and you have advice to give, please do leave a comment in the comment section below, although it would be nice to, of course, link us your stats page as well, so we know who the advice is coming from and what level of performance that player has obtained. Anyways, folks, other than that, let's go and take a look at the final results screen. Yeah, at the end there, we played a little bit of hide and seek with that enemy destroyer. It actually almost cost us the game. I actually made a bit of a mistake here. I had a bit of a brain fart. I really should have pushed in earlier, but thank goodness the battleship got there and managed to get that shot in. Final results screen, 97,977 damage. Honestly, it's a bit high for a Pensacola. Normally, if I get like 60 or 65,000 damage, I'm already super happy because that is unicum level performance with the Pensacola. But normally what you should be aiming for is, damage within at least 50,000 plus, right? 1.5 times your HP pool. And try to make sure you use your AP and you get those nice Citadel hits during the course of a battle. 1,895 base experience, so that's quite good. And you'll see that in terms of my damage, it is nicely balanced between armor piercing and high explosive damage. Remember, enemy cruisers, if you can get their broadsides, very juicy things to hit. In terms of credits earned with a premium account, this battle would have netted me close to about 300,000 credits. Had I been on a free account, it would have been about 180,000. Anyways, folks, I wish you all a fantastic day. Take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to all of you again next time.